The Louvre is the most visited and largest art museum on the planet, with more than 10 million visitors each year. But very few know the story of this extraordinary Parisian monument. Let's find out 9 surprising things that you may not know about the Louvre Museum. Let's start the countdown at number 9. The Louvre started out as a protection against England.
The history of the Louvre started in 1190.
Philippe Auguste, the King of France, decided to erect walls around Paris to protect the city from invasions, especially against the England of Richard the Lionheart. While the fortifications fit neatly around the city, the Seine River left parts of the border open to invaders. To make up for this particularly weak spot, Philippe Auguste opted to construct a castle next to the wall.
This is how the Louvre started as a fortress more than 800 years ago.
Here we are in the Corcarray, one of the main courtyards of the Louvre. This is the precise location where Philippe Auguste built his fortress. And believe it or not, underneath we still can find the ruins of the fortress that has protected Paris from invaders for centuries. Come with me and have a look if we can find them.
We are now 7 meters below the Corcarray. And if you pay attention, you'll notice that the builders of the Louvre left their footprint behind. Many of the stones have marks on them, like hearts.
They are marks left by different stonemasons to show the stones they cut, and were due payment for.
Number 8. The fortress became a palace.
3 centuries after the Louvre castle's construction, the forward-thinking and fashionable François I was the King of France, well known for his magnificent castles in the Loire Valley. So do you know what? He decided that the Louvre castle was too old-fashioned. So he decided to demolish it to build his new palace.
This is how the Louvre became a royal residence, where each king of France who reigned added his own architectural touch. Louis XIV was the last king who lived in the Louvre before moving to the Palace of Versailles in 1682.
After the French Revolution in 1789, the Louvre was totally abandoned for many years. The National Assembly turned the building over to the government to create a museum for the public to view all of the art collected by the royal families over the centuries.
This is how the Louvre opened as a museum in 1793, with more than 500 paintings and artworks on display.
Number 7. The impressive numbers of the Louvre today.
The entire Louvre collection consists of 460,000 objects. Approximately 38,000 of them are exhibited over an area of nearly 73,000 square meters, that is the equivalent of 10 football pitches.
If you wanted to visit the Louvre in its entirety, you would need 3 days and 2 nights of non-stop visit. And of course, only if you devote only 10 seconds to each object.
2,000 artworks are loaned out each year to other museums or institutions around the world. The largest painting in the Louvre remains The Wedding at Cana by Veronese, which covers an area of 67 square meters.
And have you got any idea of how old is the oldest object exhibit at the Louvre? This is the statue of Ein Guzzle. It is 9,000 years old.
Number 6. The Louvre is filled with stolen artwork.
It's an open secret that many French kings were great art collectors. So it was not uncommon for them to collect many artworks as they went through their battles and their victories in enemy lands.
In fact, many artworks still on display in the Louvre Museum were looted during Napoleon's campaigns, especially in Italy and Egypt, but also much further afield.
Number 5. The Louvre Pyramid is based on the Great Pyramid of Giza.
In the early 80s, François Mitterrand, the French president, believed that it was necessary to create a larger entrance due to the growth in the museum attendance. He demands to find a solution to make the access easier for visitors.
Et l'idée de la pyramide n'a pas surgi comme ça du néant. Il fallait entrer d'une façon infiniment plus commode que les lieux que vous avez connus sans doute auparavant.
This is how the Chinese-American architect, Mr. Ming Pei, came into play in 1983. He came up with a very original idea. A glass pyramid modeled, exactly to the same proportions as the Great Pyramid of Giza in Egypt.
La seule façon rationnelle d'opérer, c'est de creuser au centre de la cour du Louvre pour ensuite répartir les escaliers, les escalators, enfin tous les moyens de communication, entre les différentes collections.
François Mitterrand, who wanted to leave his own mark on Paris, liked the idea, and the project went ahead. The glass pyramid was inaugurated by the French president in 1989.
Pyramide, je trouve que c'est pas beau du tout, je trouve que ça va pas du tout dans le style. Mais effectivement, ça choque au premier abord.
But the new monument came under fire from furious critics, due to the profound move from the surrounding Renaissance architecture of the Louvre. Despite all the critics, anyone can admit today that the Louvre Pyramid rivals the Eiffel Tower in defining the beauty of Paris.
And like if one pyramid was not enough, the architect Mr. Pei suggested to construct another one just below the main one. This is how the shopping mall of the Louvre ended up with its own inverted pyramid. You may have seen this unusual pyramid featured in the movie The Da Vinci Code.
Believe it or not, this crystalline suspended pyramid weighs no less than 180 tons.
Number 4. The theft of the Mona Lisa.
In the early morning of the 22nd of August 1911, the Louvre employees realized that the Mona Lisa painting had disappeared. The police were as baffled as everyone else. 2 years went by before the true culprit was discovered.
An Italian who had worked at the Louvre for a time, went to the gallery in the white smock that all the employees were wearing. He hid until it closed for the night, then he removed the Mona Lisa from its frame. When the gallery reopened, he walked quietly out with the painting under his smock, attracting no attention, and took it to his lodgings in Paris.
2 years later, he was arrested when he tried to sell it to an art dealer in Florence. The great painting was recovered and returned to the Louvre in January 1914. Today, the Mona Lisa is one of the most secured paintings in the world. 6 people are guarding the painting at all times, which is itself protected behind a thick bullet-proof window.
Number 3. How much cost to rent out the Louvre?
Beyoncé and Jay-Z created a buzz in 2018 when they rented the Louvre to shoot the music video Ape Shit. But do we really know how much they had to pay? You might be surprised, but you don't have to be a celebrity to rent it out.
Surprisingly, nearly 500 movies and music videos are filmed at the Louvre every year. Prices can vary but count about €18,000 for 8 hours for a shooting inside and outside the museum.
Number 2. The disaster of the COVID.
Like everywhere in the world, the COVID-19 had a disastrous effect on Paris. In 2020, the museum had to close its door for nearly 4 months. With about 40,000 visitors a day, the Louvre has lost €40 million during this period. As you can imagine, it has been catastrophic.
Would you believe that the museum had never closed for so long since World War II, and worse, the direction expects 3 more very difficult years.
And finally, the number 1. The 3 wings.
Like many visitors, when in the monumental entrance you might find a bit of a challenge to find your direction to start your visit. Not too many persons are aware of it, but you have the option of 3 different entrances according to your affinities.
You have the option between the Denon, the Sully, or the Richelieu wing to start your visit. The Denon entrance leads to the icons' artworks like the Mona Lisa, the Venus de Milo, or the Winged Victory of Samothrace. The Sully entrance gives priority to the Egyptians' antiquities and the medieval Louvre.
But if you prefer to start your visit by the Richelieu entrance, you will begin with the French sculptures, the Napoleon III apartments, and the Oriental antiques.
If you have learned something today, please give us a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any Paris travel tips. Thank you for watching.